He was at Medina before. He's at a lot of, he's a real super coach, actually. He coaches some pros. I mean, trying to make it on Corn Ferry and so on. So he's a good guy. And of course, he's from town, so he's down here quite a bit. His son, Trey, is head pro at a place right next to the airport. It's not a great golf area. Summer. So he's here too. So anyway. That's good. Oh yeah, it's a great sport. So I even connect with them this summer so they can play.
Alrighty. Good morning. I'd like to welcome each of you to our joint media briefing today on the downtown Rochester development and collaboration. First of all, I'd like to thank Discovery Square for hosting this space today and for continuing to offer space for collaborations like this to take shape right here in Rochester. I'll give a quick overview of the agenda and then we'll open it up to journalist questions at the end. So with that, I would like to introduce our experts today. Cindy Steinhauser, Deputy City Administrator. Patrick Sieb, Executive Director with DMC. Sean Fagan, Executive Director with RDA. Aaron Sexton, Senior Director, External Relations Management at Mayo Clinic. And Associate Medical Director for Bold Forward Unbound in Rochester, Dr. Katie Arndt. And Doug Holton, our Chair of Facilities for Mayo Clinic. Again, we welcome you today, and we look forward to sharing some updates. So with that, I will turn it over to Patrick Sieb for some opening comments.
Thank you, Christy. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Patrick Sieb, Executive Director of Destination Medical Center. We are happy to be here in Discovery Square. From this window, you can look out and see more than 10 city blocks that have been transformed and changed from surface parking to fully activated, fully used space, whether it's Discovery Square, whether it's housing development, whether it's retail development, whether it's other commercial development. And so we are in the midst of transformation in our community. So we have a lot of practice at what we're about to embark on, but there's much more work ahead. So today with Mayo Clinic, the City of Rochester, Rochester Downtown Alliance, we really want to convey our shared commitment to ensuring that Rochester's future remains as bright and dynamic as possible. So 2025 marks a significant moment in our community. After years of planning, investment, collaboration, we are now entering a phase where our vision becomes more connected, more vibrant, and more resilient downtown and begins to take shape in very real and visible ways. The scale of investment happening in Rochester, is unmatched by any place else in Minnesota. Link BRT, Discovery Walk, West Transit Village, and Bold Forward Unbound are not just about infrastructure. They are about shaping a downtown that supports businesses, that improves mobility, that enhances the quality of life for everyone who lives, works, and visits here today and in the future. And we recognize that change brings challenge. But this transformation is guided by a set of principles, and I just want to underscore this. When we came together over the last several months to imagine and plan for and begin executing on this incredible transformation, we said we need to guide our work by a collective set of principles and goals and values that will help shape all of our decisions. Goals like a term we use, dig once. So can we figure out how we align decision-making and construction by all the various parties, so the disruption happens once, not multiple times over several years? Can we ensure that through this work that we create a connected and holistic approach to our work? That this isn't about individual projects. Yes, it is individual projects, but it is much bigger than individual, the sum of the parts, much greater than individual projects. This idea of future-proofing, doing investments that set us up for not the next year, not the next 5 years, but the next 50 years. Thinking about innovation in our infrastructure, thinking about infrastructure that supports future development that we can't even picture today, but we know will be forthcoming. And then this idea of valuing the expertise that we all bring, whether it's the experts at Mayo Clinic who know best about how to build medical facilities and the environment for patients and workforce, whether it's a city whose expertise is around connection, whether it's community members who live and work in this community, who have a lot to offer to help us think about decisions and how these decisions unfold. So valuing each other's expertise and leveraging that. These are the principles that we are developing to ensure a successful fulfillment of this vision. And not think of these as disruptions, but think of these as opportunities. We all play a significant role. For DMC, we help provide tools that support businesses and property owners. You've seen that through the Main Street Grant Program. You've seen it through the Historic Preservation Initiative. You've seen it through our Business Forward toolkit and our Business Forward methodology. By combining strategic funding through resources that DMC can tap and our hands-on support, we will help contribute to this successful next phase. So together we're going to hear more about major milestones, coordinated efforts. We want to continue this relationship with you to help communicate to the public and to the community the work we're doing and how we're approaching our work. And with that, I'd like to introduce my colleague at Mayo Clinic, Erin Sexton. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate the introduction. So Mayo Clinic teams have been hard at work coordinating with the City of Rochester, DMC, and our other partners to prepare for the arrival of our construction crews downtown. So I'm glad to be here to share several milestones on the horizon for this spring, each of which have been carefully sequenced with other local construction to minimize the scale and length of the overall disruption, or as Patrick said, opportunity in downtown. So demolition will begin this spring to make way for the new Bowl Forward Unbound in Rochester clinical buildings, as well as the West Logistics Center. Each building will play a pivotal role in Mayo Clinic's Bowl Forward vision to transform healthcare. So this includes exterior demolition of the Osmond complex, which has been undergoing demolition on the interior since closing late last October. But soon we'll see the structure of the complex come down as well. The same process is underway with similar timing at the former Lord's High School building, where demolition will make way for the construction of the West Logistics Center, a state-of-the-art facility connected to the clinical buildings via a new tunnel that will transform the connectivity and the process of material delivery in and across our campus. Bowl Forward Unbound in Rochester work to transform the patient arrival experience will also be moving forward this spring. This includes the start of construction on the Mayo Gonda East Entrance project later this spring and construction on Mayo Clinic's South Parking Ramp, which will begin in mid-2025, a timeline that was accelerated from our initial plans in response to feedback from our staff. The South Ramp is planned to be used for staff parking during the construction period to offset other parking losses. And just down the road, though not technically a Bowl Forward Unbound in Rochester project, construction will begin later this spring on the new St. Mary's campus staff parking ramp, which is expected to be completed in 2026. As I've mentioned, all of this work is being coordinated with several other exciting downtown projects on the schedule for 2025. So we're working very hard, as Patrick said, to make sure we're coordinated, we're working together, and we're really maximizing the opportunities available. And with that, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Cindy Steinhauser from the City of Rochester.
Thank you, Erin. Good morning. I'd also like to take this moment to acknowledge Mayor Norton, who is also here with us. Excited to be here. As both my colleagues, Patrick and Erin, have said, Rochester is undergoing a major transformation. And this transformation is not just about construction. This transformation is really about how we work together collaboratively within our organizations and across our organizations and across this community. No other city in Minnesota is experiencing the level of investment in such a short period of time as we are in Rochester. And I would argue no other city in the United States is experiencing this. And so we are on a path to move Rochester into a more vibrant destination, strengthening our local economy, improving daily life for our residents, our workers, our visitors, our commuters. We are very optimistic, and we know the future is bright for Rochester, right? But to keep the collaboration going and to keep Rochester moving, we know that there is going to be impacts with the activity we're faced with over the next year, over the next number of years. And that's why we're working closely with our partners at Mayo and DMC and RDA and the Downtown Task Force and many partners in this community to make sure that people can get to work, people can support local businesses, people can enjoy a welcoming and positive experience in this community, particularly in downtown. And so part of that is managing construction to keep our community connected. So we're committed to making construction as smooth as possible. We want to balance safety needs, quality needs, along with community expectations. Now, we're not naive to think that everything's going to go perfect, but what we are sure about is our ability to be committed to working together, to triage through issues, to take advantage of opportunities, to focus on creating as seamless a connected experience as possible. And that means things like, what do our walkways look like? How do we have better biking routes? How do we have wayfinding systems that people can navigate in and around downtown in particular with confidence? And navigating that change, what's important to that is the communication mechanism, right? How are we maintaining strong connection between neighborhoods and downtown? How are we prioritizing and communicating timely, clear information, right? Keeping the community informed both about those short-term initiatives, short-term activities, as well as keeping our eyes on that long-term benefits, right? So lots of ongoing engagement, and we've got a team, not only in the city organization, but again, across our partners, that wakes up every single day thinking about what do we need to do to clearly communicate. And so we are building a repository of tools. DowntownRochesterConstruction.org is going to be our latest commitment to keeping residents informed. This is a one-stop shop website that will be launched later this month that can provide you timely updates on construction, road closures, have helpful maps for people to use on how do I get week by week, what are the changes happening in navigating downtown. We recognize that regular updates are going to be really, really important on project milestones, construction progress, upcoming meetings like neighborhood meetings where people can get more information. Again, so I would just encourage you to watch for that launch of DowntownRochesterConstruction.org, where people can go for one-stop shop source of information. As I said, we know some degree of disruption is unavoidable, but by collaborating, we're confident we can try and minimize impact. For us, it's about bringing people along, having this work done with us, not to us. And having a people-centered approach is critical to that work. Continued communication is critical to that work. And understanding that there are various audiences and how they receive information needs to be done differently. And so that's what we're committed to. One thing I can tell you is that every single day, there are people in our organizations that wake up thinking about how do we do this work to minimize impact to the community, to embrace this change. And at the end of the day, these very same people at every level in our organizations are saying, how could what we have done today better? And I really believe that with that kind of collaboration and with that kind of spirit, we know that we are going to come out of this with a really great transformative Rochester that we can all celebrate. And with that, I think I am turning it over to back to Erin Sexton. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Cindy. And as noted by both Patrick and Cindy, obviously we recognize that with change, that change brings challenge. And we remain dedicated to supporting our businesses, neighborhoods, and activities that make downtown a destination and heart of our community. To that end, the Downtown Task Force has been reconvened. If you recall, this was a task force that we put together during COVID and has now been reinvigorated, I guess, as a good way to put it. And that task force includes all of us up here today, as well as Experience Rochester, the Rochester Area Chamber of Commerce, and READY. And the focus of our work will be thriving during construction. We collectively want to ensure that Rochester not only survives, but thrives during this time of change. We're grateful for the collaboration and commitment of the Downtown Task Force members, but we also recognize that resources are necessary to bring many of the things we want to do forward. So to that end, Mayo Clinic is pleased to provide a $500,000 grant to the Rochester Downtown Alliance to help invest in wayfinding, marketing, programming, to help downtown thrive during this period of disruption. A vibrant and active downtown is important for Mayo Clinic patients, for visitors, for our staff, and of course, the community. So with that, I'm going to invite Sean Fagan, the Executive Director of the RDA, forward to share more about their work during this period.
Thanks, Aaron. RDA is very grateful to the grant that Mayo Clinic is providing for their continued commitment to downtown, for their continued partnership, as they always have been since day one of the Rochester Downtown Alliance. Downtown will continue, has been and will continue to be a vibrant and active place for anyone, for everyone, every day downtown. We're excited with the grant to continue to increase the investment in letting the community and visitor members alike know the tremendous restaurants, the unique shopping, the incredible experiences that happen daily downtown. For instance, we have many events that have been going on for years with our organization. We continue to add more. We continue to add more programming. This weekend, of course, is everyone's favorite Winter Ice Festival. Social Ice hits the stage Friday and Saturday. Shortly behind that, Thaw Music Festival comes in March. We have the Med City Marathon, Med City Meander, all happening in May. And then right around the corner is everyone's favorite summer party, Thursdays downtown. We'll continue to do these phenomenal, iconic events that the city is, and community has always come to love. And we look forward to continuing that investment to do more with. Last year, our organization had 250 plus free live musical performances. Rochester should look for more this coming year. Look for more in the quality of the bands that we have at Thursdays. Look for more in the programming and the life and the experiences that we are looking forward to delivering to the Mayo guests, but especially to our Rochester community members alike. With the grant coming from the Mayo Clinic, we are excited and honored to take that and invest that into additional marketing to get word out to people about all the phenomenal things that are happening daily in Rochester, but the increasing programming that we're going to be offering throughout, especially this next coming year. We're interested in increasing our investment in how does Rochester look and feel? What is the attractiveness, the experience to people downtown? We're excited to activate this grant and invest it in those ways. And then, of course, we're also looking forward to awarding grants to our fellow stakeholders, our businesses downtown, to help them increase their marketing and their reach, to increase the experience of what their storefronts look like and the experience within their businesses, to make sure that they excel, not just maintain, but to grow their investment and impact in downtown. As always, we further look to increase the downtown's economic vibrancy. So yes, there's construction. Downtown isn't going anywhere. There are many roads that lead to downtown, and we're excited to have more for our community through this season. We appreciate the collaboration with our fellow task force members, ensuring that our downtown thrives in this time of growth. This is an all-hands-on-deck moment. We're grateful for our task force members. We're grateful for these new opportunities as they present themselves while our downtown continues to progress. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that, Sean, and we know these grant dollars are in great hands and really excited to see downtown continue to thrive during this period. So I just want to do a quick reminder of some of the resources that were noted today, both the city's construction impact page, which Cindy noted, There is also resources for our Mayo Clinic patients through our Rochester Construction Updates webpage that help people navigate in and around Mayo Clinic. And then also, of course, some of our resources for our internal staff. But most of all, we want to thank you all for being here today and look forward to more of this to come as we look to share these updates, these milestones, and this work that's happening collaboratively across the city, DMC, Rochester, Mayo Clinic, the RDA, and many others as we move into this period of construction. We hope you can all be confident that we will thrive through these projects as we realize the enormous benefits of these investments in our community. So with that, we'll open it up for questions. Thank you.
So how much time, oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, after you. So how much money will you have, do you expect to spend in this first, kind of big year? And what do you expect to be done, say, this time next year?
I can start a little bit. Right now, as far as what we see having done, we're going to be starting 3 different parking ramps this spring, summer. As was mentioned, St. Mary's campus ramp, where we're adding 1,000 stalls, which is a 42% increase in on-site parking for our staff at St. Mary's. That'll begin, again, this spring. Will open the end of 2026. The West Transit Village ramp will start again this spring, open the end of 2026. And our Mayo South ramp, part of Old Fort and Bound, will start this summer and open the end of 2026. So those are going to be some of the first ones that will be out of the gate and opening, but we'll have other significant projects underway during this 1 year from now as Prospect Utility Plant continues to expand, as well as our West Logistics Center will begin later this year. So a tremendous amount of work being done, and as far as dollars spent, that is we handle those by project internally. Cash flow is something totally different than project budget, so we keep that kind of information internal at this time.
But the project overall is what, $5 billion?
$5 billion
Yeah.
for everything with Old Fort and Bound and our sustained work to help bridge us to that time when our new
So
structure.
even just like a percentage of that, like any estimate on?
Not really. I would whatever I gave you would be such a high level percentage. I would not be comfortable that would be an accurate number to give you. Well, I guess
Yeah, would you guys mind passing
Okay.
along?
Sure.
Right, Trey?
Yeah, Sean, we know that downtown Rochester businesses are no stranger to construction season, especially over the past few years. With this upcoming round of construction, what new pilots or programs are we going to be investing in using this grant money? What sort of new strategies do we have to get people downtown?
Sure, thank you. We are working daily on figuring out exactly what those are. This is will be changing. It changes with seasons. Right now, people are in subways and skyways. So how do we communicate? How do we let people know directionally how to get out into our downtown? So I think it will change with the seasons. It'll change with, I mentioned the attractiveness. How do we see something? How does a visitor, for instance, see something as they're walking up in Mayo Gonda building and look out and say, I want to be there. How do we get there? So in collaborating with DMC especially, we're looking at different programs. I mentioned the 250 music performances last year. That plus more. If we see people gathering, more people want to be there. So we want to create those opportunities there. So we're not sure on the exact specifics, but it's the idea of creating attractions, if you would, for a space to be attractive, rather, to attract people to those locations. And wayfinding is a massive part of this. This is the biggest thing we've been hearing from our stakeholders. How do people, when construction begins, how do we direct people into areas? And it's going to be an incredible investment. And we're exploring those ways of how do we use design, how do we use people, how do we use our communicational tools to direct people into downtown.
Have you heard of any, fun new ideas or any sort of pie in the sky things that, before you took on the RDA role, you're like, gosh, I wish we would do this. Anything that kind of is sparking interest among business owners?
I think a big part of it is beautiful, incredible, impactful design. I mean, it's that visual experience, and that's a big part of who I am as an individual, is that what does something feel like? What does it look like? Does it attract them? Does it move them? What is that touch point like? So that's the things that we get excited about, and we have an understanding of, let's use that to leverage how we move people about then. So that's a piece of it.
Thank you.
If I could just add to that, Trey and others, we've talked a lot about the business forward strategy that Rochester has been developing, which we've now put into and developed as a playbook. And it is a set of strategies that we created with the community over 4 or 5 years, including the downtown community during Peace Plaza construction, North Broadway during the North Broadway construction, Soldiers Field during Soldiers Field. And so what this really represents is a way in which we achieve many of the things you were asking that Sean was talking about, but we do it with the community, and we do it with the property owners and with the businesses to understand what would matter to them in this context or in this situation. So I just want to make you aware of this and make this available. We do have this copies of this, and it's on our website as well.
Are you getting a lot of buy-in with that?
We get a lot of buy-in with it. We get a lot of buy-in. We get a lot of people weighing in, and a lot of people offering suggestions. And again, every geography, every time is a bit different because of the context of the businesses involved. And in this case, the neighborhood that will be mostly Kutsky Park, but other neighborhoods that are going to be more impacted during the several years, that we want to engage them in the same way that we've engaged downtown businesses. So we've talked a lot about businesses, but there are neighborhoods who too will be impacted by construction, and I think we can create opportunity for them to grow and thrive throughout construction and thereafter.
Regarding the demolition coming up soon as this month, are there additional street closures expected, and then is there kind of a rough timeline as to when the buildings will be gone?
Sure, I'll take that one.
Thank you. As far as demolition goes, as you referenced, we'll be starting demolition, exterior demolition on Osmond February of this year, so just a few weeks, and that will take us all the way through the end of the year for demolition of that structure. The former Leward site, that will begin demolition, exterior demolition early March. Part of our underground utilities and utility plant expansion will have more impact on streets in the downtown area, just north of the Osmond complex, as we continue to do some rerouting of utilities. Also, as we've mentioned, on 6th Avenue, which is already has some closures right now, there'll be much more utility work and tunnel construction to connect our West Logistics Center to Osmond. So there will be more part of our planned utility work in the street, but that is done in very close coordination with the City of Rochester, as we reference back to what Patrick mentioned, a dig once philosophy. So we'll try to do all we can to minimize that impact.
Cindy, you mentioned the website just for building updates. Is there a date you're sort of aiming for to get that online? And as far as some alternative means to just get that information out there, is there anything else the city is exploring?
Yeah, thank you. So we are, it's end of February, and again, that website is downtownrochesterconstruction.org. So that's one mechanism. Again, that's the landing page where we'll have the latest information on road closures, we'll have pedestrian maps, et cetera. We also have a whole repertoire of media strategy that we're doing. We're organizing neighborhood meetings. We anticipate kicking off working in partnership with RDA, regular meetings with the downtown businesses and property owners. Their issues and their concerns are a little bit more unique than just general population, so we want to be responsive and understand what and how we can iterate on needs for downtown businesses in particular. We are looking at a general regular community open house that provides a drop-in opportunity for members of the public that want to come in and learn the latest update if they're not able to access it on the website for whatever reason, or just want to come and share questions, share concerns, share observations. The more data in, the better we can be responsive. And so neighborhood meetings, we're going to have a very active presence. We've committed, as well as our partners at Mayo and other partners have committed to have a regular presence at neighborhood meetings and hold additional neighborhood meetings as needed. We've been doing some work with Kutzke neighborhood. We have a special neighborhood meeting coming up next week, as well as having presence at theirs as well. We want to be where you want us to be as often as you want us to be. And so our communication strategy will continue to iterate, but those are some of the things that we're looking at right now and implementing right now.
Thinking about kind of folks who are wanting to come downtown in their car or driving, we've got like Sixth Ave, Third Ave, Fourth Ave, First Ave during Thursdays downtown, and the potential for Broadway to be down in lane during the Michaels demolition and whatever happens next with that project. What would you say to somebody who might have concerns about traffic during that time coming downtown? Are some of those wayfinding kind of things going to be prioritized for cars, or is it mostly pedestrian and bike traffic, or I guess elaborate on that?
Sure, and thank you for that question. And just to clarify, we're thinking about at all modes, right? So we're thinking about what's the information we can push out if you're choosing to use a vehicle, if you're choosing to ride a bike, or if you're looking at what bus route you should take, right? So we're working very closely with Mayo Clinic on the bus stops along Second that we know will be impacted as a result of both their construction and construction of our project. And so what does that look like and how that information can get out? So we're thinking about bikes, we're thinking about vehicles, we're thinking about bus transportation and other forms of public transportation, easy to say, as well as pedestrians, right? And so when you go to that website, it's going to have the different maps that help you navigate depending on what your mode of transportation is. And again, I would just reiterate to what Sean said about wayfinding and making sure that our wayfinding strategy is nimble enough, and we're thinking about wayfinding. Not only do we have multi-modes of consideration, but we have multi-levels. What's it at subway level? What's it at street level? What's it at skyway? So that we don't push people to one area and neglect what happens on the other two levels. I also know, I think maybe I'll flip it over to Aaron, because I know Mayo is also doing a lot around pushing out information around road closures and how to access that information.
Yeah, thank you for that, Cindy. That is something we are very focused on and have a team of folks, one, helping to make sure our staff have right information on detours and where to drive during disruption and how to access parking in their ramps, the same for our patients. So we're being really thoughtful in terms of how we're directing that traffic and working with our staff as well as our patients to make sure that they can get on campus, get to work, and do what they need to do, in addition to the work that we're doing with the city to help direct the community and make sure that downtown remains accessible throughout this process.
Could I just add one strategy that we employed and worked really well during previous construction is working with our businesses who have a trusted relationship with their customers, who can amplify or just clarify, if you have a reservation for dinner tonight, here's the best way to get to downtown this week, or here's the best place to park this week, because they are the ones that have that connection with their customer base, just like you do, Mayo does with its patient base. So working with all of the individual businesses to give them the tools to communicate directly with their customers via social media channels, via direct communication channels. So they become one of our really important partners in amplifying to the question you're asking, how do people get to my place of business?
And I just add, sort of, we're also looking at unique things, how do we adjust? And so, for instance, with St. John's Middle School, so for those students and parents trying to drop off their students, coming down First Street and into that parking lot, we created a drive-through essentially between the Dan Abraham Healthy Living Center and St. John's, so people are able to exit that way back out onto Center Street. So really thinking about how we're working with those partners who are impacted and to come up with some creative solutions too as we work through this.
Quick follow-up, Aaron. You talked about, working with patients as well, and I'm sure that's going to be a challenge since there's a whole bunch of people coming in from all over. What sort of steps is Mayo kind of taking specifically for patients? Are there going to be directions included in some of the care plans? What sort of things can patients expect to see when they're coming into Rochester for treatment?
Well, you covered it well. So actually, we do have a construction website, so folks can see the latest maps and ways to navigate downtown. We are including that in our patient appointment guides and, access to information for patients, so they know as they're coming here what to expect and how to navigate some of that disruption. So those are all tools that we're putting in place to help our patients navigate.
Any concerns for changes to federal funding and grants associated with some of these projects like Link PRT?
Is there anything going on that we should be concerned about federal grants? Sorry. We are working through with the latest information that we have, right? So we are doing an inventory of what funding that we received at the federal level or federal money available through state pass-through. We feel really confident about the infrastructure projects that we currently have under agreement and under contract, that they are not compromised by action at the federal level. Mayor Norton has assured us that she is in regular communication with our federal representatives. I know personally that she talks to Finstad's office multiple times. For example, this week she's got a trip going out in about a month. So this is top of mind for her. She is actively working to understand what is the impact to Rochester. As part of our work internally, we are doing an inventory of all of the grants that potentially could be impacted, understanding what the language exists, what is the status of that grant, whether it's under contract or not, what's the language that exists within it that could in some way be of concern for us. But as far as our infrastructure projects, we feel very confident in those projects. They're economic development, job growth projects, and so we feel confident in our ability to continue to receive funding for those projects.
Building off of that, in regards to Mayo's construction projects, do you guys anticipate any impacts of federal funding? I'm unsure personally of the source of funding for a lot of the pull forward unbound projects. So if you could maybe clear that up just a little bit on where the source of that funding comes from and any concerns or reservations you may have.
No, at this point, I don't think we have any concerns as it relates to our funding for the Bold Forward Unbound in Rochester project.
Regarding the bus rapid transit, I know a lot is 2026, but is there any idea of what Second Street's going to look like while that's all being implemented?
Do you want to start?
Sure, I can start. So part of understanding what the impact of Second Street will be dependent upon the contractor and their timing and sequencing of construction. We have a general idea of what needs to happen in 25 and in 26. We have communicated that with the Mayo team. Again, this is something that we work every single day in understanding what are your construction impacts, how do we get out of your way, how do you get out of our way, so everything stays on schedule. So we know that there will be an impact to Second Street. I can't tell you the exact months at this point in time. We know it'll be at a couple of touch points on Second, but assuredly we are committed to making sure that, one, we stay out of each other's way so we don't compromise project scheduling, and that we communicate to the public when access will be different for them and how best to take a different route, for example. And Erin, I don't know if you want to build off of that.
I mean, I'd largely say ditto. There will be impacts to Second Street throughout this process, and to the same way the city's doing it, we're going to make sure people are informed, can plan for it, and do the best we can to help mitigate through that. So.
Another question for Erin and the Mayo team. We're talking a lot about how just the city's sort of finding ways to accommodate and work with you on construction, but just kind of going to the lighter side of things, are there any benefits to these projects once you finally have things in motion, they're starting to take shape, you're looking forward to for your employees, maybe just some of the impacts they'll bring to the community?
Yeah, well, great question. I think for our staff, the additional parking is going to be very welcome. So the 3 ramps that Doug noted are coming and will be really some of the early parts of construction, I think will be a welcome sign for our staff. And I think anytime you're making these types of investment in a downtown core, that's going to bring with it benefit for the entire community, whether that's infrastructure improvements, as we're, that we're all working to make under that Dig Once policy, our guidance, I guess, that we're working to create that improvement that's going to benefit the community as a whole, as well as that economic impact that we expect with continued investment in the downtown core. Yeah, please.
I just also want to remind everybody that this is Mayo Clinic's strategy. Bold, Forward, Unbound in Rochester is Mayo Clinic's strategy to cure, connect, and transform healthcare. That means Mayo Clinic in Rochester, we are going to be curing healthcare for the world, solving big major problems in healthcare from right here in Rochester, Minnesota. And that transformation has already begun for our staff. And as these projects roll out, it's really quite amazing. So while the things that everybody see are these buildings that we're doing, which we are doing, we also have innovative care concepts and digital technologies that are rolling out every day. And this is quite incredible after COVID and everything else healthcare has been through, to see these solutions start to come to life. And we're just on the cusp of a lot of that. And I just want to say that we're really grateful for all of you and for everybody that has supported these transformations, and especially our staff that has been resilient through all these times for healthcare. So thanks for the opportunity to be here today and share our strategy to cure, connect, and transform healthcare.
I'm just going to give the microphone to her from here on out.
Any other questions, TJ?
Still on track for like a 2030-ish finishing date?
Yes, for our main clinical buildings, the Waterman Building and the Osmond site, we're looking at late 2029, mid-2030 for both those buildings to come online. I think it's lunchtime, isn't it? It looks like we had.
Unless we wrap up for lunch. Okay, final call for any journalist questions, so we'll go ahead and wrap. Oh, Matt?
Just a quick question for Sean. I think you touched on it briefly, just about what this grant is going to be used for you guys. Obviously, it's a small number to say the least, but just talk about the impacts, for downtown businesses, how it's going to continue to just grow the downtown business sector.
What was your question in it, though?
Just like how it's continue to grow the downtown business sector.
A big part of what Rochester Downtown Alliance does is that marketing and promotion of our downtown. And we look to use that investment to do that so much more, right? To grow that reach there is a tremendous amount of things happening in downtown. And the hardest part is reaching people anymore. So it's an opportunity for us to use, to invest that funding into mechanisms to reach more people. To let people know life is still vibrant downtown. There's still things to do. There's still fun experiences to have downtown. So that's a part of how we'll use that.
Okay. Well, with that, I just want to thank you all for being here today. Really appreciate your attention and time. And if there are any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to me or Jenna Bowman or Rachel from the city, Gino from DMC. So we're happy to help with any follow-ups. But thank you again for everyone for being here today. Thank you to our distinguished guests and to Mayor Norton. I want to also recognize her back there. Thank you, Mayor Norton. So, all right. Take care, everyone. Thank you.